Jason Belmonte, the man who redefined modern bowling, a two-handed trailblazer, a 15-time major champion. But the last 2 seasons have been tough for Belmonte on TV. Things haven't gone his way, and at times he hasn't looked like the Belmonte we've seen dominate. Many of his critics have gone as far to say that he's washed up, but is that really the truth? Is this just a temporary slump, or are we indeed witnessing the start of the end of his career? That's the question I aim to answer in this video. Let's start with the cold hard facts. Jason Belmonte hasn't won a singles title since 2023. That's right, no singles wins in the 2024 or 2025 season, although he did win a doubles title with Bill O'Neill in 2025. For most bowlers, that's just a bit of a rough patch, but for Belmo, that's practically a drought. We're talking about a guy who's won 15 majors, 11 majors in just 7 years. From 2013 to 2023, he was bowling on a completely different planet and was the certified best bowler in the world. I think it's fair to say that EJ Tackett has now taken that title given his dominance in the last couple of years, but that's not to say Belmonte has dropped off completely, far from it. Now, before anyone starts calling for his retirement, let's be clear, Jason Belmonte is still making TV shows. He's not falling off the map, he's not disappearing in qualifying, he's still finishing in the top tier, still battling against the best, and still giving himself chances to win. You don't make telecasts by accident. The PBA Tour is as competitive as it's ever been, the depth of talent is insane, the margin for error is tiny, which means that he is still performing to an extremely high level. So what's happening when he gets onto TV? There's times when things just don't go right for him, which happens to everyone. There's times when he's run into an unstoppable force in EJ Tackett, but there's also been times where we've seen mistakes that are very uncharacteristic for him. For example, in the 2024 USBC Masters in the semi-final match against Patrick Dombrowski, Belmonte needed just a mark to advance, but left a split for an open frame.
Way right of target! Are you kidding me?
I should have stopped.
I can't keep up.
Why didn't I?
With Patrick Dombrowski moves on.
That is just something you would never see from him in his prime. He was so incredibly clutch. There's been other times where he's just looked out of sorts though. Things haven't flowed as they used to, and he just didn't seem quite the same in his mental game. There's no doubt that he has looked different on telecasts, and one of the biggest questions on everyone's minds is, has Father Time finally caught up with Jason Belmonte? He's now 42 years old, and while that's not ancient by bowling standards, you still have to consider the toll of bowling at the highest level for the number of years that he has. He's bowling at the top, week in, week out, against players 10, sometimes 15 years younger, most of whom grew up emulating him. Bowling might not be as physically brutal as other sports, but it still wears on the body, plus there's countless hours of travel, jet lag, mental fatigue, and over time, all of those things add up, especially given the fact he's so far away from home and his family. But we've seen many of the greats of the game go through these kind of slumps, and we've seen many top players have some of their best years of their career in their late 40s. Belmonte to me still has a few years left in him at the top. Look at players like Webber, Walter Ray, Norm Duke, who were still so dominant and capable of winning titles well into their late 40s and even early 50s. From what I've seen of the history of the PBA Tour, 42 is not as old as what many might think. Players in their mid-40s have proved time and time again that they can have a big resurgence in their career. So my opinion is that this is not the beginning of the end for Belmonte, it is merely a slump that he will need to overcome. If he wasn't making telecasts, wasn't finishing high in tournaments, then perhaps you would have a different argument. But he's still making title matches of major tournaments, so the suggestion that Belmo is washed up is simply ludicrous. Slumps aren't new, in fact, they're part of the game in every sport. Tiger went for years without winning, Serena lost finals that she used to dominate, Tom Brady had stretches where people said he was done. I could go on and on and on, but they all came back. And greatness is not a straight line, it's a cycle, ups and downs, reinventions, and right now it's all about how Belmonte responds when he next makes a TV show. Slumps don't erase legacy, they just test resilience. And if you followed his career, you know one thing: Jason Belmonte is not designed to give up. You could make the argument that he's not quite the same player he was 5 years ago, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. In bowling, like in life, adaptation is survival, and Belmonte is clearly doing many things right because he's still so competitive on the tour. One more thing to consider is the weight of expectation. When you're Jason Belmonte, every miss is magnified, every show without a win, a disappointment. Belmonte himself, I'm sure, doesn't care about the critics, but when it comes to himself, it's very easy to place a lot of pressure on yourself when you know deep down just what you're capable of achieving. So let's circle back round. Is Jason Belmonte washed up? Quite simply, no. He's not done, he's not irrelevant, this isn't the end of his career, he's just hit a bit of a rough patch on TV. All of the best in the game have been there, but it's how they bounce back that makes them so great. Belmonte had basically 10 years at the very top, 10 years of complete dominance. The last 2 years, things haven't gone his way, but this will show us all what his mental game is really made of. And he is simply too good, in my opinion, to let this slump bring him down. If there's one thing we know about him, it's that he doesn't walk away from a challenge. And so that will bring us to an end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed this one, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about Jason Belmonte's recent struggles on TV in the last couple of seasons. Do you think this is just a temporary blip and that he will be back in the winner's circle next season? Or do you think that this might be the start of the end for his career at the very top of the game? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you have enjoyed this video and you've not yet subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss any of my future videos. That's going to do it from me for today, and as always, thank you bowling fans, and see you all next time.